over the weekend. Ted Cruz did almost nothing, and yet he was in the news all over the place. Had Ted Cruz and 5 Tea Partiers shown up in Washington, D.C., say in front of the Capitol or something, or anywhere on the mall, it would have been wall-to-wall news. Instead, thousands of people came to Washington, D.C., and now I didn't watch corporate media all weekend, but I tuned in numerous times here and there, just flipping through and sampling as I was going through my weekend, and I saw no mention of this. I'm guessing that there was probably some, but it's very interesting how the filter, the producers in the corporate media decide, what they decide is important for all of us to know about Ted Cruz, the Tea Party billionaires, and what is important for us not to know about the American people being upset about being spied on. For example, Cullen Hoback is on the line with us. He's the director of the movie Terms and Conditions May Apply. The website for the movie is TACMA, T-A-C-M-A, as in Terms and Conditions May Apply, TACMA.net. And Cullen, welcome to the program.
Hey, it's good to be here.
So, I understand that actually you've got a showing of this thing coming up tomorrow?
Yeah. So we've actually had over 20,000 people petition their members of Congress to see the film, and we're going to be screening it at the Capitol Visitor Center. Tomorrow there'll be a reception at 5:30 p.m., and then it'll go on at 6, and it's being actually hosted by Representative Justin Amash, and anyone is welcome to come, in fact. So if you want to see the film and you want to be in a room with a lot of members of Congress and staffers and stick around for an incredible panel full of whistleblowers like Thomas Drake and Russ Tice, come tomorrow to the Visitor Center at 5:30.
Well, and if you want to encourage your member of Congress to go, you can go to callcongress.org or figure out the number for Congress any other way you want and contact
You can actually petition them right now at trackoff.us. We have a website dedicated entirely to making sure that we get our congressmen as educated as possible on these surveillance issues.
Oh, great. Trackoff.us?
That's right.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Cullen, tell us what happened over the weekend.
Over the weekend, we had an amazing turnout. And I can't say we because I wasn't organizing it, but I can tell you from having been there, thousands of people gathered together in protest of the NSA surveillance state. And I was shocked, in fact, as you were saying earlier, to see, that it wasn't a major national news story. And, it's funny to me because the NSA spying, of course, is a major news story, but the protest in itself didn't gain as much traction with the media as I would have expected. And I guess, like you were saying, it really comes down to who's making the decisions in terms of what to feed the American people and what not to.
And the most bizarre part about this is that much of the NSA spying has been directed at figures in the media. And, I get it that, the corporate media, they want to kind of get along to go along, play the game, not lose access. But the lose access part is they don't want to lose access to politicians. And so, they continually don't contradict politicians when they lie. They put serial liar politicians on the air over and over again, let them say whatever they want to say. I mean, you've even got the embarrassing spectacle now of NPR continually putting on Heritage Foundation, Cato, Institute, these right-wing think tanks who put forward disingenuous to just flat-out wrong right-wing talking points with not only no challenge, but with the credibility of NPR associated with them. But you would think that they would be concerned about their... Right? Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's funny, too, because this really is a nonpartisan issue. I mean, what it comes down to is do you believe in the Constitution or not? Yeah. Do you believe that we have Fourth Amendment privacy protections? And I'm going to be very curious tomorrow night when I interview these whistleblowers, Thomas Drake and Russ Tice, and I will ask them, this is happening abroad. We are spying on all of these world leaders. Are we doing it to Congress?
Right. And I mean, I think that's what provoked the Church Committee hearings back in the day, back in the 70s, was that Nixon was actually spying on his political enemies, which was Congress. And Congress got freaked out. And I mean, a lot of his enemies list was the press, too. And the press got freaked out. And I don't understand why the press isn't freaked out about this. I mean, one of the first guys to be the subject of this kind of stuff, James Rosen, was a Fox News reporter. Why isn't Fox all over this?
I mean, I think press is, there is a concern there because I think that anyone who's a journalist understands that the second you lose privacy, you lose free speech. They go hand in hand, and journalists are one of those professions that really require having meaningful access to whistleblowers and to people who are watching the watchers. Right. And it is a little bit surprising, but I think I've appeared on news programs on all sides of the aisle, and there does seem to be a real concern here. What I find though, where I find there to be a lack of concern actually is on the corporate side. And that's interesting to me because the Googles and Facebooks of the world have really created the honeypot that the NSA and these spy systems are able to tap into. And I think it's time we stop giving them a free pass.
Well, Cullen, if you go to theyrule.net and start comparing the members of the boards of directors of some of the largest defense contractors in America with some of the largest media companies in America, you find surprising amounts of overlap. And if 70% of the NSA's budget has been outsourced to these large defense contractors, that's a pile of money that's going to the same people who are, on the boards of directors of many of our media companies. There's an unholy, we're all in this together. We CEOs, we, directors of American corporations.
Well, there really is this unholy alliance, and that's what we've done vis-a-vis these terms and conditions agreements that we've signed up for, but I don't think we should be held accountable for. Is click by click we've given away our privacy in exchange for these so-called free services, right. And these so-called free services are really just an incredible spying machine that allows the government to do what it's wanted to do for a very long time. And like you were saying, there is it's the industrial surveillance complex is what we're looking at here. And it's when you're talking about those kinds of numbers and the billions going into feeding, the industrial surveillance complex, of course we're going to end up with these kinds of issues.
Yeah, we're talking with Cullen Hoback. He is the director of Terms and Conditions May Apply, a new movie that's going to be playing tomorrow night at the Capitol Visitors Center over at the U.S. Capitol Building, or right in front of the U.S. Capitol Building. And Justin Amash, who is the Tea Party Republican from Michigan, but he's a good guy on national security issues. In fact, he's starting to take some flack back in his home district for it from the, quote, establishment Republicans, which I find very interesting, is going to be introducing the gig. Do you have a Democrat who's going to show up, too, to balance him out?
We were trying to get Leahy or Markey to come out afterwards and sit on the panel and discuss with us, and they were all very interested. They just couldn't fit into their schedules. But I mean, there really is. They're pushing out the invites. There really is a bipartisan, bicameral support for this event and for getting people to care about these issues. And I think that's really the key, and that's why thousands of people demonstrated this week from coming into D.C. from all over the country. Is there's a real unrest right now, and anytime you hear somebody ask that question, I have nothing to hide, so why does it matter? First off, the film that I've made I think really answers that question. But second off, if you want a very simple response to that, ask them for the passwords to all of their online accounts, and then tell them to take off their clothes. Right? Like we all have something to hide. It's a very sort of sophomoric argument.
Or just point out, times change. The Boston Tea Party would not have been possible if the British had been able to spy on the people who participated in it.
Absolutely. You can control the masses if you can surveil the masses.
That's right. There would be no United States. Cullen Hoback, Terms and Conditions Apply is the movie. TACMA.net is the website. Thanks, Cullen.
Thanks for having me.